murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.
You're tapped in, so let's get right to it. So President Trump is again giving a final warning to Iran. This seems to be a pattern with Trump, always giving these final warnings. And we have the receipts. In any respect, Iran doesn't seem to care about these final warnings and are stuck or resolved to maintaining ownership of the Strait of Hormuz. And again, we've said this in the past, on different episodes about this whole issue. It's gone from nuclear weapons to Iran killing its people to protecting Israel, America's interests in the region, and now the Strait of Hormuz. Again, just so many changes, so much flip-flopping from Trump and the Trump administration that at times it just becomes, just a lot of words, all right? A lot of empty threats. Anyway, so this all began, let's say February 20th, Trump gave around a 10 to 15 day deadline or faced consequences while claiming negotiations were going well. April 12th, Trump said he expected to be bombing if no deal was reached, then extended the ceasefire that same day. May 17th through the 18th, Trump warned Iran the clock is ticking. There won't be anything left of them. Then he held off the next day after Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE asked him to. June 11th, Trump said the U.S. would hit Iran very hard tonight and target Kurd Island, then canceled hours later, citing final points of a deal. Then July 30th, QESHM Island strike. In the middle of this back and forth, a U.S. strike hit a home on QESHM Island. Iranian officials said it killed a father, mother, and one of their children, while two other children survived and were hospitalized. CENTCOM said the wave of strikes was retaliation for Iranian attacks on U.S. forces in Jordan the day before. But as of that report, the U.S. had not directly addressed the reports of a toddler being killed. August 1st, Trump claimed talks with Iran's last chance before decapitation, saying Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, asked for the talks because they didn't want to be hit by what we've been, or what would have been the biggest attacks since World War II. August the 2nd and 3rd, Trump said he called off the biggest attack since World War II so talks could resume Monday. Iran said Monday no talks were planned. Iran's foreign minister spokesman said Tehran was neither holding talks with the U.S. nor expecting a delegation, calling the Oman discussions a separate bilateral effort on a shipping corridor. Trump responded by calling Iran's leadership unbelievably duplicitous. Now today, August 4th, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, told CNBC a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz may come today or tomorrow. So we see this reoccurring threat, this crying wolf from Trump and the Trump administration in terms of making pretty much Iran bow or submit to whatever the negotiations the United States are attempting to set before them. Iran, though, to its credit, is saying we know nothing about none of this stuff. And we've said, as we've always been saying, this war will go as we see fit, and they've stuck to that so far. Now, these I don't know if I should call them contradictions or not, but the core contradiction is this. Trump keeps saying Iran is begging for talks and framing any Iranian pushback as bad faith, while Iran's own foreign ministry keeps saying on the record that the only thing actually happening is a narrow talk with Oman about shipping through Hormuz, not a U.S.-Iran negotiation on nukes. The gap, Trump describing a broad two-faced negotiation. Hormuz, then nuclear program, versus Iran describing a maritime only conversation is the angle as far as Iran is concerned. Okay. And it's not a fringe thing, even Fox seems to be reporting this disconnect between Trump and Iran. Something's not mathing here, all right? And for the most part, many of us, we tend to know what that is. Trump is delusional in a lot of respects. Also, in a lot of respects, Trump tends to think he holds all the cards. Trump tends to think that, well, we can bomb them into submission. Trump tends to think that the world supports what he's doing. That's the disconnect. That's the disconnect, all right? Now, as far as Iran go in the HORMUZ position, in their Strait of HORMUZ position, Iran is saying there isn't any negotiations, Iran isn't negotiating the strait away, They're not in talks with the United States or President Trump about the Strait of HORMUZ. They're just not. What they are doing, what they seem to be doing, is negotiating a temporary safe passage corridor through Oman. Now, that's on their terms, not the US's. Now, as they're doing this, they're also maintaining it's their waterway, not the US's, not Israel's. It's theirs. And that's what they seem to be sticking to. Now, Scott Bessent's, his own comment was about a toll for ships, and Trump's insistence there won't be one is worth, looking into or discussing as well. So, there's a lot going on here, and most of it doesn't seem to be what Trump is saying it is. The majority of it, actually, the majority of it, Trump seems to be working from his own mind in terms of this Strait of HORMUZ negotiation, or supposedly or supposed negotiations with Iran about the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is very, very clear in what they're saying. I don't see why Trump or Fox News, even for that matter, would be saying, okay, there are negotiations. Trump said these negotiations, this, these negotiations, that. And then Scott Bessent saying, oh, there'll be an agreement by today or tomorrow. While at the same time, Trump is saying, this is their final warning. I'm going to decapitate them if they don't answer today, or maybe by tomorrow. The thing is, though, it keeps changing. There doesn't seem to be any coherent work being done in terms of real negotiations. There's no team been sent to Pakistan or anywhere, for the Iranian delegations to meet them. There's just no movement in that direction at all. So we're trying to figure out, where's Trump getting this stuff from? What's really going on? We tend to think here at TAP that the fact of the matter is the United States do not have any intention whatsoever of finding peace or having peace with Iran. That's a fact. And we support that by understanding that Israel is not going to have any of it. In other words, Israel's objective, and the reason why the United States is involved in this war to begin with, is because Israel needs Iran to be dismantled, completely destroyed, wiped off the face of the earth. And I think those are the words from that I allege. Those are Benjamin Netanyahu's words, not Trump's, that they will be wiped off the face of the earth. Israel needs this to happen. Without that, Israel cannot do or put into motion its plan for the greater Israel idea. You people have to see this, all right? Trump is working with Benjamin Netanyahu's hand in his back. Everything Trump says and or does is being orchestrated by the Israeli regime. Trump keeps making it seem as though also that, hey, there are talks. There's a reason for that as well. And we think that that is to keep the market kind of stable. Now, in spite of this, Iran is saying we know nothing about any talks, and yet the market stays stable. It hasn't dropped. It's been relatively stable, you know, and we think that's the result of Trump meddling, manipulating the market with his rhetoric, this narrative that we're in talks with Iran. Iran begged us for these talks, things of that nature. This is what Trump says daily. Iran, however, are on the record saying we know nothing about what Trump is talking about. We think Trump is crazy. And if any of you believe what Trump is saying, you're crazy too. So Iran might have a point, and I'm pretty sure that they do. Most of us can recognize that Trump is not a politician. That's first, all right? Trump is more of a mob figure involved in business. Trump wants to be a businessman, and for the most part, the receipts show it. He's not very good at that. All right. What he's good at is lining his pockets and those of his allies and his friends. Most of that Trump administration, as well as Trump, his family, are receiving large payouts, dividends from moves that they're making in the market. A lot are alleging that this is a result of insider trading. So as the country continues to suffer, gas prices through the roof, groceries up, bills are higher, Americans having a harder time making ends meet, Trump and his administration and his allies, his friends, his family are eating well. They're doing quite well. Trump, in the last month or two, Trump, since the beginning of this year, has been recorded, he's made well over $2 billion. From what? From what? Some are alleging it's the insider trading. His children are making money, large sums of money. Not only that, but Trump insists as well that the American taxpayer continues to fund this senseless war, that the American taxpayer supports Israel, although the American taxpayer does not want to. It seems as though the American taxpayer sees Israel for what it truly is, an occupier, a shit starter in the whole region, and people are fed up with it. That doesn't concern Trump, though, and he's said this on many occasions. I'm not worried about what they're saying. Trump, well, groceries are high, gas is high. It's okay. Don't worry about it. So Trump considers it not being an issue to him and his family, his allies. They don't have to go through what the American people are going through as a result of this senseless war. Now, that being said, again, Trump gave another ultimatum, a final warning. And we just rattled off maybe 6 or 7 that he's given since February the 20th. They're just one after another. He gets people to thinking, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and we're going to annihilate them. We're going to obliterate them. We're going to demolish them. We're going to decapitate them if they don't do what I say. That's what Trump is going wrong at. And rather than work with the Iranians, if they want a toll because it's their strait, why not? Trump has said, hey, we don't have a use for the Strait of HORMUZ. We got our oil. We took Venezuela's oil and anybody else's oil we think is ours within our hemisphere. We don't have an oil issue. But it seems as though Trump is actually trying to get access to that region and its resources. That's the way it seems to be playing out to a lot of people. Now, that being said, I have a clip to support some of what I'm talking about, give you guys greater context in terms of Trump making these final warnings again and again and again. Final warnings that no one is taking serious, especially Iran. Iran doesn't seem to be in the least bit worried about Trump and his final warnings. You know, it's been said by Iran, okay, when are you going to put boots on the ground? You know, we can stop all this. You know, you guys can stop going through your missile allotments, your stores of missiles. You know, you could save some of them. Come on, bring your guys. You know, the more Trump talks about Iran, or Iran's arsenal is depleted, 90 to 92% gone. And yet Iran continues to fire as many as they want. And it seems without let up. That would include Shahed drones as well, missile launchers, and all kinds of missiles. That's what it seems to be. You know, Iran is saying, hey, we have stockpile. So what are you going to do? Okay, let me drop this clip, though. Again, we want greater context. Before I do, as always, please like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe. You are tapped into the art of political discourse. We appreciate your participation and viewership. And without further ado, let's get to this very interesting piece here. All right. And this is courtesy of 9 News Australia. Here you go.
Trump is tonight warning Iran this is the country's last chance for a deal to open the Strait of HORMUZ.
Again, last chance, final warning. He's given numerous last chances and final warnings. You know, by my count, 8. 8 last chances, 8 final warnings. What's holding him back? Something's holding him back. Yeah.
The US president is claiming negotiations are back on, but the Iranians say otherwise.
In Tehran, a fallen Lady Liberty and steely resolve from some locals. The Strait of Hormuz belongs to us and it should remain closed until the very end. The shipping route, a critical bargaining chip in negotiations, which the US president insists are underway.
We are talking right now, we're talking at the request of Iran.
The problem is Iran says otherwise. We are not currently holding negotiations with the United States. Iran's foreign ministry says they're instead talking to Oman over a temporary route for shipping through the strait.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. So this temporary route or corridor will be assigned to those ships that need to enter or exit the Strait of Hormuz. And the reason for this, them sticking to a particular corridor, is to be able to inspect, visually, I imagine, each ship that goes or comes or goes. It's been said that the United States has been using commercial ships as a means to transport weapons through the strait. So Iran says, okay, we're going to put a stop to that as well. This is where Trump said, oh, they figured this out. So no, we can't have that. You know, we can't have that.
One option would see ships enter the strait through waters controlled by the Iranians and leave along a route closer to Oman. A service fee would be charged and the proceeds split between the two countries. The conflicting messages angering Donald Trump. He claims the threat of a major new offensive brought the Iranians back to the negotiating table.
We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack since World War II. That's pretty big.
I honestly think that the time has come for the President of the United States to unleash the armed forces of the United States.
For now, Trump's still giving diplomacy a chance. And far from a stalemate, and despite the denials, he's optimistic a deal's imminent to open the strait.
So to unleash the full power of the United States military, as Pence is suggesting, would then mean putting boots on the ground. And again, you know, all the pundits, most of the experts, including retired and I think some active military personnel, saying, no, man, that would be dumb. That would be dumb. It will be a meat grinder. So why Pence is saying this all of a sudden is, you know, kind of crazy. You know, Pence is not, well, Trump is not Pence's favorite guy. And I'm pretty sure Pence has also gotten the information, has been informed and told that shouldn't be an option. putting boots on the ground in Iran. I mean, that would be, that's at that level where we're unleashing the might of the United States military, not just F-13, F-35s flying over, dropping bombs, shooting tomahawks. No, we're going to bring in the cavalry. Anyone, what most people in their right minds, especially the experts, are saying, please don't do that. That would be a huge mistake.
I want to give them every last chance before decapitation.
But
This is their last chance.
in the United States, Reed Butler, 9 News.
Okay, now that's Trump and his last chance, or offering to Iran in terms of, hey man, let's get this thing out of the way. Come on to the table. But let him tell it. They're already at the table. So something's not mathing here. He said, no, they begged for, and so we're negotiating. That doesn't seem or sound like a negotiation. If Iran is saying, man, we know nothing about what he's talking about, that can't possibly be a negotiation, no more than it can be Iran begging to have negotiations with the Trump administration. They're dealing solely with Oman to create a corridor closer to Oman for exit and a corridor closer to Iran for entrance. Where's the negotiation with the United States? Where's that delegation in those negotiations between Iran and Oman? Something's not mathing, and this is our stance, our take on the matter. We think it's all cap. It's all cap. It may be that the Trump administration is looking, they have something up their sleeve and they're working towards initiating that, whatever it is that they want to do. They need time. They're trying to buy themselves time to get their pieces in place. Could be, they're playing chess or checkers. Who knows? Who knows? One thing is for sure, Iran is not having negotiations with the United States. And Iran is not even concerned with these final warnings, these last chances. Iran is saying, hey, we know that music. We know that song right there. And, it doesn't get us to move, They're not doing a jig, based upon what Trump is saying is taking place, or in terms of what Trump is saying, what will happen or take place if Iran doesn't come to the negotiation table. Iran is saying flat out, there's no negotiations. So we're looking forward to seeing what will occur by tonight or in the morning, August 5th. We're pretty sure in Trump fashion, they'll, bomb a few places. And Trump will come back again in front of Fox News, and address the American people saying, hey, yeah, we bombed them really well. We knocked out some of their bridges and we did this and that, and now they're going to come to the negotiation table. They asked us to stop. They're begging us even more so now, Trump's, his normal spiel. Tell us what you think. Will Trump's threats change anything, especially concerning the Strait of HORMUZ? Are the Iranians in that position or in a position where they fear they have to bow to Trump and do as he says? Will this thing continue to escalate? We'd like to know what your thoughts are. Put them in the comments. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.